What does it take to be an American? What do you need to do? You need to be able to speak English. Wait, no. There are lots of people who don't speak English and are still American. What about color of skin? There are lots of different people with different colors of skin who are American. But when you're walking down the street and you see a person on the street and you say, "Where's he from?" Can you say that he's from America? You can say this about any person with any color of skin. He might not even speak English, and you will probably automatically think that he's American. Because when you meet a person in America, you usually think he's American. You don't usually think he's an immigrant. Okay, maybe if he doesn't speak English, you might start thinking he's from somewhere else. But if you just see him from a distance, you usually think, okay, he's American. Or you don't even think about this, you don't question this, you just think he's a person. Like we talked about earlier with gender roles. But in Russia, it's very clear who is Russian and who is not Russian. So for example, a person who was not born in Russia, not born to Russian parents, and doesn't have a typical Russian appearance, a lot of people will say that he's not Russian, even if he speaks Russian perfectly and moved to Russia at a young age. Even if he holds a Russian passport, people might say he's not Russian. In fact, in Russia there are two different words that people use to describe Russian people. There's Ruski and Российский. Ruski means the nation, the race of Russians. So, to be in this category, you need to look Russian. And Российский is about being a citizen of the country. So there are many different people who look very different and do different things and have different cultures who are categorized into this group. But how does this difference really affect the way that Americans and Russians behave and think? Well, let's say the same idea in a different way first. The American concept of national identity is all-inclusive. That means that anywhere, any person in the world could be American because there's no limit to color of skin, language spoken, religion followed. There are really no limits. However, the Russian concept of national identity is exclusive. Only people who have certain appearance and certain abilities will be considered part of this group. The Russian idea of national identity is very similar to other countries. There are specific criteria that need to be met for a person to be Italian, for a person to be German. When we see someone who looks like they're from Africa, we don't say, he's Italian. We don't say, he's Russian. We don't think this even in our heads. We automatically exclude him from this group, or at least people from those countries do this. But American people tend to include all people. So if we see someone who looks like he's from Brazil, we can say, he's American. If we see someone who looks like he's from Africa, we say, he's American. If we see someone who looks like he's from Russia, we say, he's American. And let me tell you why this concept and this idea of how Americans view national identity is one of the most dangerous ideas in the world. Because when anybody in the world could be American, this means that we try to apply our standards to all people. All people can fit into our group, so they should be in our group. This is much different from what other countries do, where they say, we have limits, we have standards, in order to be in our group, you need to meet these requirements. And that means that if they expand their territory to another area, those people will clearly not be Russian at the beginning and will need to assimilate. And sure, in the United States we have the idea of assimilation, but we stretch our understanding of who is American and who is not. There are not strict limits and strict standards. Maybe to be a citizen of the country, but not to be what we call an American.